8 here. And still 5 more games to do so. On to Erangel. And yeah, a pretty decent plane, I'd say.
Yeah, it is a decent plane. You know, most of these teams are going to be able to get to their preferred looting locations. And then, ooh, that's a nice circle, too. That is a nice circle for our first game here. A lot of these teams are going to have good transition patterns into it. Everything should be safe. It should be relatively calm, I would think, for the first part of this game.
Yeah, should be. The only teams that are going to have like really awful transitions are going to be Na'Vi and WTSG. Na'Vi, they landed first, and so they're going to be able to rotate real quick compared to other teams. WTSG, they're only just now getting to their loot spot, and so it could be a little delayed to compare to all the other teams that are already in the circle or much closer, but also just the angle that they're going to be at compared to where everyone else is looting up from. If they go wrap up north and around, easy transition in for them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Na'Vi and Welcome to South Georgia and all these teams that loot kind of in the extreme locations on the edge of the map, they're used to it by now.
Exactly.
Right? They're used to these what rotations they need to take to get to this next circle. So I think they should be pretty safe. They're not freaking out just yet, and it's kind of interesting. We still got a couple of teams looting up in Yesnaya.
Yeah, MVP and
split it up.
Yeah, MVP M19. They've been sharing Yesnaya for basically all 5 games on Erangel. I don't think there's been a single kill so far between them.
No. They're most of these teams. It seems like everybody's playing it at least so far on day 2 when we were in Erangel, playing it very safe at the beginning, not wanting to engage in too much. And I doubt we'll see that change, especially here when there's so much riding on the line here in day 4. It might not be Championship Sunday, but it's definitely it's a big day for a lot of these teams that are riding on the edge here.
Yeah, certainly for a lot of different teams. And Method being like kind of the one team to kind of look at with what you're talking about, not wanting to go for the early engagements. It was already pointed out when the desk was talking about the plane at the very beginning, but they didn't even try and go back to Pachinki now, though. And it's good for them that it's happening right now, that they finally are sticking with this Kameshki Stalber sort of area.
Right.
Because it took 2 games for them to leave Pachinki, and then the few couple of games after that, they were still struggling on finding a spot that they would have for themselves. That being said, they are at a good spot in the leaderboard, though. It didn't hurt them too much. I think they're actually in top.
They're in 3rd,
8.
I think. And if you think about, if you think a little bit into the future as well, you know, once next week comes around, should Method still find themselves in the top 8, which it's looking, you know, fairly likely that they are. Cloud9 starts to come, and Cloud9 is a team that has recently been preferring to loot in Pachinki. So this is good for Method.
Watch this, though. Allergen on an early rotation from Ghost, leaving Milta to grab a spot in the circle. Couple of shots coming out from Texas at Shelter aren't really going to land. And these guys know where each other are. I was actually just talking to Ghost this morning, and it's all like, Ghost, they're in Milta. They know exactly where Texas is at Shelter. So the shots coming out from that direction aren't going to be a surprise at all. They're actually counting on it, one would guess. Victory 5 also on a similar rotation. This is going to be Drayden from the Knights, and this is Texas, going back inside the Shelter. Finishing up his loot phase
Quite at home there.
Yeah. It's comfy.
It is.
It's underground.
Look at it. It's not dank and moss-filled at all. It's just nice.
Yeah, I think they
calm
get
concrete. You know?
Yeah, they get regular cleaning services down there.
Exactly.
So it's all nice.
Throw a nice carpet in there, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's not dusty or anything. It's perfect. You got the loot items laid out perfectly on a little piece of like a satin pillow for every single one individually.
It's absolutely lovely.
Yeah, it's a 5-star shelter.
5-star shelter indeed. Well, it looks like everybody else is starting to make their way in here.
It's around that time, just over 5 minutes. Vega, they are going to need to go quickly. They are now leaving military base, and this is actually over the eastern bridge. Avoiding Genji. Genji are still looting up Novo, but Ghosts are only now looting Milta. And so if Ghosts hear these bikes come over the bridge, they could decide to stop and lay a trap, especially because they already have Allergen and Turtle in the center of the circle. And so McCoy and Ballack could just stick around.
Yeah, this is something that's a little bit concerning here for Ghost. They did send Allergen in early to claim a spot. Turtle has now joined him, but the rest of their squad's still in Milta. They're taking their time transitioning over to this next area. Kind of concerned about that when we've seen how likely it is to be crashed by any of these Asian teams early on.
One of the biggest, I guess, differences that you can see between the regions, at least at first glance, is like the meta between do you send one person, do you send 2 people, or do you just stick at all 4?
Yeah, I mean,
This is the threat. This is why. Turtle getting in a couple of shots, but the down does come down from Allergen. Onto, I believe that's 47 Gamer. Luckily, though, QMCC is able to pull away. But once again, 17 Gaming. We saw this all the time yesterday, and actually, they're not done. LSN is still taking the shots. Ooh, QMCC with 1 HP left. But once again, we saw this on Miramar. 17 Gaming keep trying to go for an early center spot, but they come just too late, and they're constantly throwing off their game plan.
Yeah, I think over these last couple of days, a lot of these North American and European teams and CIS teams have started to kind of figure out the tendencies in these Eastern teams' play style. They are you can see they're spending more time or less time looting and more time trying to get towards that center circle, find themselves a compound early on, so that they can avoid having these late, or having to crash into somebody a little bit later.
Everyone's going to be finishing up the rotations. You got Secret coming in right now, Na'Vi, WTSG, XQuest from Gatka all rotating in, and even Genji are now getting into their vehicles to come in. Genji routinely the ones coming in basically last every single time.
Yeah, definitely. If you're just now, starting to tune into this tournament, keep an eye on Genji. Watch how they rotate. This is something that we're seeing. They're constantly finishing in the top 5, but they're always rotating into this first circle late. Just something to keep an eye on and see how they play the game of transitions.
Yeah, there's no real answer, it seems, to whether you want to go early or late or even somewhere in between. They all have their pros and cons, and it is all based around your loot spot where everyone else is looting and where the actual circle is as well. And so good teams all know how to balance those things out. XQuest coming up inside. They're going to be north of the river.
But look how tight they are, though.
Yes.
Look how tight. This is something that another thing that we've been seeing is, once you get to these land situations, you have to kind of play as a 4-man squad. You can't really spread out as much because you take such a great risk in losing players early, and nobody wants to do that today.
Absolutely not. We've seen how that works for a lot of different teams. We actually saw Ghost is the first one to come to mind for me when they got sprayed down by Genji yesterday on Miramar, though they are certainly not the only ones. Being able to scout ahead is crucial, but at the same time, sometimes you just have to go in blind on your vehicles, especially in the early game. And for the most part, it tends to work out, but there are those times that there's a team just in an area that you may not be expecting.
Yeah, we saw Pittsburgh Knights in the yellows in the fields just to the south of Yasnaya. Really like that positioning from them. They can afford to get shots at a lot of people, large lines of sight. They can see anything that comes anywhere near them. So good spot for them to hold is now you can see WTSG still trying to make their way in. They have opted to go north of the river. There's still a little 50-50 chance here. Probably more likely to head south, I would think, on the next circle pop.
Of the river, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much more likely.
Yeah, and it looks like most teams are feeling the same here. The only ones north of the river at this point, now that Welcome to South Georgia's crossed over, are XQuest and Method. We're now finally transitioning in from that Comiskey loot.
Yeah, Method knew they had no threat on their back rotating late or early because right below, the closest team below them would be the two teams at Yasnaya. So that's a pretty big gap. They were able to correctly assume that basically that entire field around Yasnaya was empty for them, and so there wasn't a lot of pressure for them coming in. A couple of shots going out into Little Lee, rotating around. I like this spread from Balak. Going to give a little bit of a third-party support to his team on the compound on the left side. Genji now rotating in. This is going to be coming up through Farm, just now making their way inside the circle.
Yeah, while we do like the 3-1 there from Ghost, you can remember back to Tuesday when they were doing the exact same thing, and Balak got himself crashed by a full 4-man squad of Genji. And I think Method ended up losing 2 in that rotation, so something you definitely want to be careful about.
Method rolling up in this dip below that hill, but Knights certainly heard the vehicles trying to look that direction, but line of sight isn't enough for them to put any pressure on that area.
Playing out pretty much well like we thought it would.
Yeah.
Very, some searching shots here.
Yeah.
Nothing really, no big crashes just yet, though, although Genji still on the move, so the possibility is still there.
It is still there.
But it's very unlikely.
Yeah. In fact, MVP, they're still in Yasnaya. They always leave super late. It's interesting compared to M19. Loot the same spot, but M19 consistently leave on a much faster, on a much regular basis. But for the most part, this is a very by-the-book early circle.
Yeah, kind of surprised that nobody has really occupied the warehouse in Alamo just to the north of Shelter just now, or just yet. That's usually one of the spots that teams like to take to get multiple angles of fire, but it still remains unoccupied just yet. Nobody looking like they're going there. Divine and Method actually looking like they might be rolling a little bit close to each other here near Mansion.
They can certainly hear the vehicles. Method already
set up
stopped.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Divine want to go to Mansion. But the next circle, this is a solid one. This is basically everyone's expectations. In fact, only one team is out of this circle. So really no one has to move if they don't want to. It's just Navi that have to push in. Looks like they maybe wanted to rotate north. But Method taking this Heaven compound could be quite impactful. You're going to see the long-range shots being thrown out on Divine, while Divine trying to go the more central spot, trying to get away from the edge. Long range aren't going to land too many of them. Divine aren't under too much of a threat right now, but who is threat? Xiaodu and Larson, but especially Larson, because Egg has arrived to give support. Larson behind a rock. He has some teammates behind him, though. Miruku sending down the long-range shots.
He's got backup from Miruku, but he is getting pushed right now by XQuest. The rest of Welcome to South Georgia needs to come up, and there's Gaxi. He's got a Gaxi and +1 in the vehicle, so Gaxi and Var going to be providing full squad, but now, oh my goodness.
Okay, this looked to be a crash in a pit, and at first it was Vega taking the advantage, but with a third party from Genji, it's just all teams are getting blown up. Vega and Victory 5. Vampire Game is coming in as well to give some support. It's just Vampire Game and Shandian left for each respective team. Fight going down to the bottom right as well. Still bleeding out from Victory 5. Shandian playing around the smoke.
Ooh. That's going to be it for Victory 5. Shandian going down there. And now Welcome to South Georgia popping off. Holy smokes.
Flipped them at just the right time. The nades coming in from Miruku and Larson to finish all of that up. Two teams wiped within the matter of seconds. Yeah, in the very early game, too. That's rare to see. Vega here, they are going to be able to lick their wounds, able to get most revives. I think they may have lost one of their teammates to the third partying of Genji and perhaps even Divine. Another crate's going to be falling down. This one, once again, close to Optic. Optic was the team that grabbed that first crate. In fact, you can see Valiant with the M249. I don't know if they're going to want to go for this one, depending on if it lands in the water or just on the coast. And I think it's actually going to be on the coast, so that's...
Yeah, they can do this safely.
That's a safe pickup.
Yeah, I mean, you saw all those fights. Even though all the teams were in the circle, with the exception of one, all the teams on the southern edge of the circle were trying to reposition, trying to get somewhere more centralized, and that's what led to all those fights popping off.
Yeah. A little bit ambitious. Simpson does get taken down from a shot from Jet back in that warehouse area. But ultimately, that's a nice, easy revive. After those first two teams, that drastically lowers the population of this server, so I think that's going to slow down the action for this next circle. I think for the most part, everyone's going to be okay kind of just staying calm. I say that because, well, there was that team knock from Optic, but I think Valiant also got pressured to move elsewhere.
And they just kind of ran into each other at the gas station.
Yeah,
No pressure on them right now, so they should be fine. Really interesting split on these South Yasnaya fields by MVP, but you can see some shots just trading back and forth. Tainted Minds throwing some bullets down to WTSG. Right now, Genji just kind of hanging out. And you can see Extreme 2G has been playing really, really well. Ooh, does get a return shot there. You can't peek it too long.
Yeah, he has his team just below him, actually not in the compound, going to be on top of the hill. Can be a very strong spot, just leaving Extreme 2G in that compound in case the team did want to crash. Vega also been able to kind of solidify things, avoiding line of sight from Genji and Divine in the meantime. Heroes and MVP, which you did call out, having a pretty wide split. It's actually a 2-1-1 triangle setup in the field. We missed this, actually. Ghost, they've now, instead of that 3-1, they've now made it a 2-2, keeping that original compound, but also sending Turtle and Balak north to grab these yellows, just south of Yasnaya Fields. And so depending on where the next circle goes, if it goes dead center, that's going to be helpful to allow Makor and Allergen to then go up to dead center. And their line of sight from the two compounds aren't that bad, but Valiant trying to rotate through the Yasnaya Fields. The crossfire from MVP is going to be huge. I don't know if he expected Zero Tan there. Valiant is taken down and fully flushed as well. A bit ambitious of a run from Optic. I don't know exactly what inspired them to try and go center at this time because the circle is now about to close.
But you absolutely don't expect this split from MVP. It's so, so good. You have multiple angles of fire. You have that entire field essentially covered. Anybody can take a shot at you from MVP right now, and they end up picking up the kill on Valley. He tried to rotate a little bit more towards the field, check out the sniper tower, see if it was occupied. He definitely found it occupied, so very unfortunate. Our new circle has popped, though, and Tainted Minds right in the center.
M19 trying to bomb center as well. They're finding a compound that is empty, successfully scouted out. Ghost, McCoy, and Allergen are going to be rotating up to Balak and Turtle. M19 not exactly in a position. Try and punish that, but it looks like Tainted Minds are taking the shots. And actually, M19, they are able to run out of the compound. Aren't landing too many shots, so it is going to be a successful transition from the two American players on Team Ghost. Genji also having to rotate up. The circle did move off of them. They're going to be stopping, a little bit of a pit stop at this compound. Still not in the circle just yet, but just above them, as you can see on the minimap, is 17 Gaming. And actually, Shox does get it down onto Loki. It's going to be an easy pickup that is still going to slow down Genji's rotation.
Yeah, Genji's going to have a hard time finding a place to call home once they get their player up and make their way into the circle. They're going to have to continue playing this edge, but 17 has eyes on them. As we can also see, MVP still holding down that tower. They've now sent 2 there, so they have a 2-2. Myth and Moldman taking the spot that was previously occupied, I believe, by Siege. But they are not in circle right now. So Vampire Gaming, let's see, now taking this compound just to the south of the Yasnaya Fields. A little bit on the edge, though.
This is a very interesting compound. I think it's actually probably one of the more unique ones on how you want to play it. Talking to different teams, a lot of people like to actually take the ridge just north of it.
Yes.
But that obviously puts that person on that hill in an interesting position because the cover up there isn't the greatest, especially from the right or the left side. And I think they are also only down to 3, and so that's also going to limit their options. Method rotating through. They were northeast of Yasnaya, and so this shift of the circle is actually worse for them compared to anyone else. Molman previously was able to make his way into Yasnaya, spotted out the split employed by MVP. They're going to have to continue to make their way through that field past MVP and Optic. WTSG as well as Team Secret, both, however, in good positions right now. Relatively central spots for both of them. We're just waiting for the next circle to close.
This split could be dangerous for MVP now, though. They do have 2 at this sniper tower, but you have Pittsburgh Knights that was at the Yellows in the field, and the Yellows no longer are going to be in the circle. If Knights decide to crash this as 4, it could be really bad news for MVP.
Genji, though, they are slowly walking up. They're not trying to drive into the center with vehicles. They know that 17 Gamer are in their way. And so Simson and Loki are slowly sneaking forward. Shox, his attention is on the building, and Genji are leaving a player behind to keep his attention. And this may allow Simson and Loki to continue to sneak further and further onto them.
And Simson has made his way into circle. The rest of his squad just behind him. They know that 17 is here, but they just haven't heard the footsteps just yet, haven't gotten the sight lines.
QMCC driving away. This is going to make 17 Gaming just 2 of them, and if Simpson's able to recognize this, and another car is rotating away as well. If he can find a frag on Show, the remaining player, this could be disastrous. Maybe not disastrous, but still bad for 17 Gaming. He is going to spot him, get the pick of his... Oh, the tree just barely blocking the spray down initially. And the vehicle is going to be able to accelerate away. 17 Gaming just barely able to avoid the attack from Genji. This also does give Genji a spot in the circle, albeit on the edge, but Method, their own rotation through this field is disastrous. They lose Moleman, they lose 8C. Rafi and Xchris have to stop in the middle of a field using nothing but a hay bale and their vehicles, but they're being surrounded by all these different teams. You have Ghost, you have MVP, you have WTSG, and then Knights from the northeast as well.
Oh, this is a nice circle for Ghost. MVP, or Method, still in a little bit of trouble here. Knights still making their way into this next circle. They've run into Divine. Method Rafi now the last one up now that Chris has been killed off by Miracu. The smokes aren't going to last forever here for Divine. I don't know if those vehicles are destroyed or if they're just too scared to get into them, though.
It's not good either way. You got Na'Vi rotating up, but right into Optic they come. Uba gets taken down by Bahuaka. and the rest of Na'Vi aren't in position to immediately trade, trying to send some long-range shots out of the circle. Those nades going to be coming in, may be enough to finish off Uba, take him down very low, and that's going to be an easy bleed out for him. So Na'Vi are going to lose their first player. The rest of Na'Vi having to figure out where else they can go in because Optic just stole their spot.
Yeah, Optic holding that very, very well. And this is what we were talking about earlier, these loose transitions where you send one or two, and just you're getting punished for them over and over again this week.
Divine having a struggle of their own in the Osnaya fields. Fields are never easy to play around, and just this split from MVP, able to gatekeep everyone. Divine is now eliminated in 14th place, but MVP certainly are done because you can see Knights just off the side of them. Genji on their own rotation. This one having to drive through a lot of teams. They were on the far edge and wanted to make it dead center, driving past 17 Gaming, and now they're on top of a hill close to Ghost and M19. This could be risky though, because more teams that try and come center into the circle. It's not the best defensible position. They're going to have to hit their shots on aggressing teams.
Tainted Minds was previously occupying the top of this hill, and they gave it up instead to take this compound, leaving it wide open for Genji.
Well, the reason why they gave it up, you can see all these shots that so many teams are putting on that position. It was good in the early game when everyone was so spread out, but now that everyone's gotten closer and closer, they needed the hard cover. Here comes Pokemalodori rotating in, able to find a spot and calling out to his teammates because they are not far behind him. Once again, though, the dip, it's a pretty shallow of one. He's peeking over. See if he can't spot who is exactly in Tainted Minds, but Tainted Minds as well as Optic shooting down on the last two rotating players from Na'Vi, but that's going to be a successful rotation. Easy bandages, easy energy drinks.
Yeah, at least for now. They're in a lot of trouble, though, if they have to move here. Optic just hovering around, trying to find some kind of high ground here to get a little shot down. Meanwhile, things are still popping off towards the South. 17 has managed to make their way in. Genji, as you said, paying for that ridge line.
Did they get a crate? Oh, they just get a free crate on them, though.
Why
Loki
not?
did get knocked, only just now revived. You're going to employ a smoke to get a safer heal. But still, hopefully that level 3 upgrade. The M249 could do good from this position as well. Raffi is finally discovered by WTSG. And so Method are going to go out in 13th place. They were coming into this 3rd place, so they're still going to be in top 8, but certainly not the start that they wanted on Erangel Day 2.
It's so crazy. Genji hanging out at the top of that hill, had nothing to hide behind. We're getting, and well, why not deliver a crate where they could get a weapon and some cover?
Exactly.
Let's give them some cover at the top of that hill. Why not?
Maybe not the best angle to put that hard cover addition down onto them, but Krema, he did get down by WTSG while Knights trying to push through this using the smokes. And Voxic is going to go back. We have seen Knights specifically take more damage than they could have by trying to go back for a revive. So we'll see if that happens once again. But they are inside the circle. The next one is going to go down right. So actually, this is really good for Ghost. Still 4 strong. And Texas does get down and finished off by Vega Kippy down from the south. But everyone else on this west side.
Yeah, Vega doing exactly what you said that they would do, playing in that top, the ridge line there. They're not getting any shots sent back at them by Knights though, so they can afford to stay up there and just blast down all day. Yeah,
Knights aren't in a position to trade back, and actually the biggest threat range for Vega's position is outside what is currently outside of the blue, so they're gonna have to move into the circle themselves. They're not gonna be able to stay too long on that spot. Gaxi also gets down by Extreme 2G while WTSG trying to move in. A couple of smokes deployed to help with everyone else following up and perhaps getting their revive. But still, a lot of these teams on the west side are going to eventually have to move. The circle's going to start closing in 20 seconds.
Yeah, MVP is already on the move. You can see Vega still trading back and forth with Knights. It looks like Maxazor got taken pretty low. He might have actually gotten downed in res there. So Knights might have eventually been able to take a shot back. But Knights, they still have a little ways to go to get into this circle as well. Drayden is already making his way. Genji still holding down the top. They ended up moving just a little bit to their east.
Ooh, Secret, they actually have the longest way to go, judging by straight distance. They're going to have to go through 17. Gaming QMCC from 17, though. He tries to go first before the rest of his team, and he gets blown up by example of M19. So they may not be able to be in a position to fight this. Smitty, nice spray down on the remaining players of 17 Gaming. They're going to go out in 12th place. Voxic Shade also going down. Fiend trying to get more spray down to more members of Na'Vi. But Poka and Drainies. No, I spoke too soon. Drainies does get taken out, fully flushed. Stolen away by Wicked, but it's still another down, and Na'Vi are down to 1. But look how close all these teams are getting to Gen G's hill spot. It's king of the hill right now. And Simpson, he's playing point, but the nades are coming through. Gotta pull away from that one. Takes a lot of damage, but not down just yet. The follow-up, though, isn't there as Chelator. No, he does drop Fiend. So the beginning of the defense is successful for now, but Wicked has to lie down to heal up. And where are Tainted Minds going to be coming in from?
Tainted Minds still pushing in from the south here. This is so deadly on the top of this hill. Genji has a little bit of cover to work with. They had the crate, they had a rock, and now, now he's going to go down to a grenade. As 17 trying to get the shots onto Chelator. I think that's going to be it for Secret. Yep, they're out in 11th.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a two-pronged attack with Tainted Minds and Secret, but Tainted Minds, they waited for Secret to die before. Now they start to push in. Chelator is down, or attempted revise from Simpson. In the meantime, Optic is also finished off, but Tainted Minds, they actually don't seem to have a lot of pressure onto Genji. They're inside the circle, but look at this wraparound from Wicked. Genji don't want to let this team stand right to the north of them. Spray down comes. Wicked can't find the shot just yet, but 2 down for Tainted Minds.
Oh, Jixi's so low.
Discovered in the grass. It's going to be finished off. And that's Tainted Minds eliminated in 9th. Genji successfully defend this hilltop, but they're going to have to move because the next circle did swing up towards the northeast, towards MVP. Ghost are still inside. And WTSG have an opportunity to get inside the field as well, but look how close Pokemon, the last remaining member of Na'Vi, is.
What a crazy fight at the top of that hill with Genji holding it admirably. Did not lose a single player, getting pushed from the north by Tainted Minds, from the south by Secret, and it all just went straight to hell. Genji turned their attention onto one and then turned it right back onto the other, and coming out huge in that victory.
You can see MVP still trying to figure out where exactly they want to put their players to be able to defend this as well as they can. And a wide spread like this, while it means that any sort of revive is going to be more difficult, it will give them extra lines of sight, extra large crossfires to basically stop anyone else from coming into these fields. And the wide, flat lands of the field is going to be very hard to get through. M19 now, they're pushing up. They're wrapping around the east side, and they're going to be coming up towards Vega. I don't know if Maxazor knows that pressure is coming, and he's immediately dropped by Constantine.
Kippy now and Vampire. Now going down, elite player Batulin example still up though. That's M19 pushed into this. I was 4 strong, but they're getting eaten by the blue right now. They have to make a move.
Yeah.
And Vampire Game gonna go down now too.
It's just Kippy left on the bike. Spray comes through. Don't find all the shots just yet, but where is he gonna go? Open shots from the north are going to be on him right now, but Genji, they're moving in as well, and they're actually going to be crashing directly onto Ghost. Ghost still 4 strong. Tons of smokes employed there. It's going to make it more difficult for them to defend, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade because the car comes in fast. Balak now down, but still 3 up, and I think it's just Loki left. Wicked on the backside as well. Loki trying to spray in, and it's actually Turtle dropped as well before he swings around the outside trying to run the shot. Allergen coming into the building, but Turtle is flushed out. Using the vehicle to his advantage more. McCoy is dropped as well. It's just Loki and Wicked versus Allergen. Wicked has been dropped on the top of the hilltop. 1 versus 1 right now. Does Allergen want to go for the revive onto Balak? Balak is way too far out, finds a shot into Loki. Takes a lot of return, but it's going to be Loki with the victory there. Ghoster removed a nade.
What an I mean, Genji had nowhere else to go. They had to crash that compound. Unfortunately, Ghost a little bit split up, and the smokes were down. Genji pushing at exactly the right time. The downs came in too early. They Alec getting hit by the car.
Yeah.
Just all went wrong for Ghost right there in that defense.
Pokemon is going to be slowly crawling in behind WTSG. We've seen many times a single player using a team in front of them as a way to like crawl into the circle with the safety of a big giant brute ahead of them. But the circle is going to pretty much center up. No one's dead center right now. But example, finally the final player of Vega, and so they're going to go out in 7th, and now their attention turned back onto Genji. It is just Loki remaining, and he's going to have to move through the shots, through the sight line of M19 to get into the field himself.
And all this time, MVP has just been owning the northern end.
Yeah.
They have they've lost 1 member so far, but I've got to imagine that they've probably picked up a few kills. I know they took care of Optic a little bit earlier on during the transitions.
Just as WTSG could get backstabbed by Pokemon, MVP need to watch out because there is still Drayden from the Knights hanging out, not exactly behind him, and it looks like his attention is more towards the center of the circle. But if MVP, if they don't watch their back, they could get taken out when they're posturing for a victory. Loki from Genji. Going to be deploying some smokes to try and at least get to that tree. I don't know if it's inside or not, but M19, they're going to be pushing up. They actually have a nice hilltop, a good line of sight onto WTSG. It's going to be Miraku down first. Pulling back, going to get some revives, and Na'Vi is discovered, but Larson and Miraku both finished off for WTSG.
Oh,
it's just Vard left for the EU team.
MVP just sniping and vulturing these kills off of M19. They saw the downs come out. They came in and got the angle to finish them off. Now M19, 3 strong versus MVP, 3 strong, and we got 3 solo snakes who could throw a wrench in any of these teams' plans.
M19 just with that hilltop have a lot of pressure on the rest of the circle. Blue is in the process of closing, but everyone else is inside. But M19, they've discovered where Loki is. Yeah, he has a car to hide behind, hide under, but the shots can still come through. He needs to remove the tires.
Smart. He is going to, actually, he's safe right now. He is inside a circle.
Yeah, just
so
barely.
Just kind of throwing shots down there, trying to blow up the car. It's not going to get him. Smart enough to back away from that. So we can see Drayden now snaking in just behind MVP. MVP, they're all lying prone. They have no interest in peeking up and trying to engage in any fights here.
They can't because M19, they
have
have the hill. They have the high ground advantage over them. MVP have cars that they can play around, but they're not going for a fight right now. They want to wait for the circle, and they get gifted it. This is perfect for them. M19 now have to push into the field themselves. And M19, they certainly want to find these shots, but Bachelor and Elite player, they're trying to go in immediately. They're wasting no time to start sending a player crawling in through the fields.
Well, M19, the circle gods giveth and the circle gods taketh away. Now they're finally having to push in a late game circle where MVP is just lying prone in wait. Drayden right next to Alpaca as well. How close he is, I think. No, he doesn't seem to be aware that he's there just yet. He might be. I think he might have heard something.
He might be suspecting it, but it could also be a case that with the circle on MVP, they were playing super defensive right now. Oh, Bachelor is discovered by Loki, actually, who gets that kill, so that's 7 extra points for them.
That's 15 kills now for Genji.
Drayden Pounce, able to take out Alpacas, and on MVP are just down to 2. Drayden still needs to make his own way into the circle, though. But he could take that car position if he's not discovered. It's going to be 0-10, dropping him out. We're now up to the top 4. Loki still putting pressure on the members of M19 who have to move in themselves. And he gets another down onto Elite player. Example taken down very low as well.
Do they have time? I don't think they have time to stop to get this res off either. The circle's pushing in, and that thing is going to chunk.
He wants this. It's actually going to be the blue that finishes them off.
Loki with the hero play for Genji. He's a solo, sure. But that doesn't mean he can't turn around and win. And now we're in a 1v1v1.
Yeah, Vard has discovered Siege into MVP with the 3 members up. We thought they had the advantage, but they weren't able to take care of the snakes surrounding them. They played too defensive themselves, and now they only have 0-10 left up on the northern edge. Siege is crawling forward, trying to give as much information as possible. But the circle has 7 seconds left to finish closing before it's going to go dead center. And everyone is on the far edge. It's going to be all on who.
Each one of these players equally likely to get to the circle. They're a little bit spread. If Loki was a little bit farther to the west, so look at 0-10. Is he going for the res?
He's going for the crouch run at least. He's not exactly on his teammate just yet, and he does have a hill to work with, which is why Vard hasn't been able to spot him, nor Loki.
Yeah, Siege is bleeding out really slowly. He could get the res here. And yeah, he's actually going to stick it.
This is going to be huge, but it is spotted by Vard with the spray down. Doesn't land too many shots, but he does pour 0-10 off of the revive. So he's, I don't know if they're going to commit to it either. Instead, he's going to go for the fight. And 0-10 is going to find Vard. WTSG go out in 3rd. But it's Loki trying to trade off of that. Has the information, but wasn't able to land the shots. Is 0-10 going to be able to get the revive onto Siege? No, he's going for the fight. Long-range shots from Loki. But the blue has just started crawling in onto them. Deals heavy damage.
Oh, no. He spotted out the downed player, and that's going to be MVP with the win.
All on a 1v1 at the end, but it is, in fact, going to be MVP. They were so close to losing it after a heavy advantage, but they do come out in the end with 14 kills. But Loki doing a really good job of getting 2nd place as well. It wasn't just slowly sneaking in. He essentially 1v3'd M19 and then played his cards right during the fight against between WTSG and MVP, but
14 kills for MVP,
Yeah.
and that's what, 16 for Genji? That is a
Yeah.
lot of points that have been eaten up essentially by two of our leaderboard leaders right now.
Yeah,
the top two.
MVP, first on the leaderboard, got first this game. Genji, second on the leaderboard, got second this game.
I mean, if we're looking at who's going for top 8 right now, seeing that many points eaten up by the top 2 teams is a really nice thing, actually.
Yeah, that does give more of an opportunity, at least a marginal one, to the teams who are just barely below top 8 to be able to climb back. But still, Jess, it was a bit of a slow start for both of these teams, but especially Genji.